So welcome to this video recording. So I want to do a little demo of a new feature that comes in Camel 4.8. Yes, 4.7 is to be released soon. So, but it's something that we have been working on the last few days. So in the Apache Camel project, there's one of my recent favorite sub-projects or sub-part of Camel is the Camel JBang project. So Camel JBang is a way to, as a CLI, but also a power tool for existing Camel users to use Camel, get a lot of information for Camel, try things, build a prototype, and so on. So really is a fantastic addition to Camel. So please give yourself you must give that a chance to try it out on your own and see what it can do and whatnot. Anyway, so the functionality that is we've been added is a JBang command for Apache Kafka. So what I have here is a local Kafka instance running using Docker Compose. I really believe that as a developer, as a user, you should be able to try yourself to build a prototype and see what happens if you experiment with things that this prototype can do real connection to Kafka message brokers, and that if it can also work robust using Camel. So it allows, especially with JBang, to see information what goes on inside this Camel application, and then you can experiment with things and stop the Kafka broker to see if Camel behaves, if you can see that the health checks is starting to report it's down, and many other things. So it's really is a powerful tool to experiment and be that thing. So you're a lot more comfortable that whatever you build with Camel, that when you go to production, that is robust and things like that. So for Camel JBang, we have some examples for that. Now, due to historical reason, they started as part of Camelets, so that's why they are in this Git repository called Camelets examples. But there is a JBang subfolder where we have a bunch of them. They are all kind of low code. You can run it quickly with JBang. You can even copy a link to these and then just type camel run and the link. But that's not the purpose of this. I just want to get you into the Kafka example. So in the Kafka health, it's actually an example that shows you how the health checks of Camel can report if Kafka the connection to the Kafka broker is correct or not. So, but we're gonna use that as the baseline for this example with the new feature coming in Camel 4.8. So what I have here is then this example. It comes with two YAML files, which are camel routes. There is one for the producer, which sends message to the Kafka broker on the foobar topic on localhost. To get some data, we are actually using a camelot called Chuck Norris source. So it goes to the internet, gets some jokes from Chuck Norris jokes every 1.5 seconds. It logs it and then sends it to Kafka. Now on the consumer side, that's also very simple camel route, just a from and a to. So it's consumed from the same broker, and then it logs the information. So that's of course in Camel you can write camel routes in Java, XML, and YAML, and what have you, even Groovy, Scott, Kotlin, and so on. So just to get going, so for the consumer side, I actually want to experiment a bit and run multiple consumers at the same time and other things. So I have divided the terminal into two. So I also wanted to demonstrate on the command line. I hope you can read the thing, but it's basically just camel run and then the name of the file or multiple files or start to run everything and so on. But anyway, I want to run the consumer, but I then override the configuration to say I want to specify configuration probably on the Camel Kafka component. I want the poll timeout to be a bit quicker, because what happens is that Kafka will consume messages. Camel will consume messages from the Kafka broker, and by default it uses a hold timeout of 5 seconds. So if there's no message, it will sort of wait for 5 seconds until it will sort of the Camel know that there was no message, and Camel can do a little bit and then go back to polling again. So I set it to a half a second to be a bit more quick for this demo purpose. Then there is also the demos is about the commit and offset. So I want to, by default, most people are using auto commit, so meaning that Kafka will automatic commit the offset to the broker in a background thread at X number of intervals. So I bumped that up to 15 seconds. And then I enable the developer console in Camel, so you can see it from a web browser as well. But the Camel JBang commands give you full access to those web console as well. So you don't necessarily need to use the web console, but it still is a one place to go and look for stuff. Because I want to run multiple instances of the exact same file, I want to give it a different name. So one is called 1 -- name equals 1, and then you can see in the lower screen I have 2 ready to go. So I will just let it kick off. It connects to this Kafka instance over here. I kind of, there's can be a lot of login noise from Kafka. So what am I going to say here? I want to see, okay, what Camel I'm running. I'm running 1 instance locally, and this is, everything is just local. So we use Docker for the Kafka broker itself, but this is native Java process running on the JPS. You can see the Java process running, so there's only one running, right? I can say camel get. It gives me a little more information. This is standard JBang. You can see the camel version. Yeah, it says snapshot 4.7, but it's because the release hasn't been done yet. When it's released, it will be 4.8 snapshot. But the functionality I show here is about the Kafka commits is a new command, but all the other functionality is already out of the box in the releases so far. You can see it's ready, running. Has no message processed, total 0. There's one route, 47 seconds started, and so on. So it gives you nice information what's going on in the Camel at the highest level. You can also go down to get routes. So you can see there's a route here. This is from the Kafka broker. Yeah, and there's a new feature we added information whether the Camel connects to a remote endpoint or not. You might have a local inline like a CDQ, a direct endpoint, a timer or cron or something that runs only internal in Camel. The remote endpoint sort of means that, okay, Camel is connecting to some other system, to a cloud system, to a database, to Kafka, to GMS, whatever. That's probably more important than a local event. Anyway, so the thing with the Kafka is that there's now a Camel get Kafka, and then it will show you Kafka specific information because the consumer is connected to the Kafka broker, but there's no message for it yet, so it hasn't sort of gotten anywhere. The offset is 0. There's no information there. So what we're going to give is to run the producer, which will then send some message to that same Kafka broker. It's Chuck Norris knows jokes from the internet, and I'm sorry about if there are going to be any, let's say, semi-offensive jokes, but it's just to get some information running. And if you can see here, the consumer now logs those information, but it logs those information in a lot of verbose details about each of the messages. You can see some of the internal Camel information, exchange properties and headers and things like that, but the jokes are coming here. If we go back to JBang, then we can also see, if we say Camel get Kafka, we can see now that the offset is 1242. Well, it didn't start. I've been running this as an experiment a little before, so I used it a little bit before. Otherwise, if you're starting from total screen clean, then it will be 0 from the start, from the very first beginning. Now you can also see the topic is foobar. It is that you can also use. Now we use a specific topic name, but you can also sort of like use multiple topics and regular expression to match multiple. So essentially, you can say tell Camel to receive messages from topics that match this pattern, and then you can actually essentially be multiple topics, and then you will have a line per topic that comes down there. But now it's just a single topic, you know, sort of like a single queue. So now we actually, the new functionality beside this one is that you can also say, I want to show some metadata. And the metadata, those are more specific to some group membership. And by default, when the Camel connects to a topic, Kafka topic, it will use a unique ID for the group ID. So and this is the unique ID that Camel creates. So essentially, each Camel consumer that connects to that one will get its own group ID, so they will be independently, sort of like a pops up thing. So you can, for example, see if we start the second one, it will boot up as well, and it will join the Kafka broker. You also get a unique assigned group ID, so there are two unique group IDs connecting to the topic. So essentially, each of these consumers will then receive the same message. So you can see from the top and the bottom, they will receive the same Kafka jokes. And if you go and look here again, you can see now we have two processes, 1 and 2, and the group IDs are unique, and they are essentially receiving a duplicate. They receive the message, both of them. So, and they are, because they are at the same pace, so to speak, then they are essentially always more or less on the same offset, right? Now, the new functionality is also, you can see what is the committed offset. So this one takes a little longer to retrieve information about, because and sometimes it can be a little Camel doesn't receive it in a timely fashion, because what happens is that to get the committed offset, then the client does not store that information. So there's a special functionality inside Camel now that actually is telling Camel to go and then connect a synchronous call to the broker to get the committed offset currently in use, and then return that into this tool here. So it is that incurs that little overhead, and that now you can see the committed numbers here. And we can try something, put it in watch mode and see what happens. You know, in watch mode, then the command is executed every 2 seconds and dumped to the screen. And now pay attention to the counters there, the offset and the committed one. You can see that the offset is sort of cycling upwards. This is every new message that's being processed by the integration 1 and 2. The committed is then stored in the broker on the broker side. So that's what happens, you know, in that background thread. As you can see, those numbers once in a while sort of catch up a bit when the commits and the offsets are sort of more in sync. But you may remember that I specified explicitly that for this integration that the commit offset should be every 15 seconds, so 4 times a minute. And then the rate of the message is usually about it processes the message quicker than that. But this is a nice way to be able to say, okay, I just want to, you know, experiment with Kafka. I want to, you know, consume some mess and see what happens and so on. And then, you know, what happens if I, let's say, crash Camel, and then what information do I then get from, you know, because you will actually start to receive message from the last committed offset, right? Oh, yeah, 2 M's and 2 T's. So if we go and look here, so let's say the one were to be crashed, the last offset it processed was 1475, but if, let's say, there was a JVM crash, and it then resumes being restarted, connect to the broker again, and then it will actually continue from 1409. So there's a little set of duplicate messages with that. But this is a way for you to sort of experiment with that. You know, you could, you know, essentially crash and kill and whatnot, and things like that. So let's let's try a little bit of that. So if you can see here, this is the health checks for all the things going on. It's a bit verbose because you know you have readiness and liveness on the context and the controller and routes and I don't know what you but that information can show you something. So let's see if we could then go in here. Oh yeah, sorry, Docker PS. So I am going to be a really bastard. I'm gonna say Docker kill the Kafka broker. Then let's see if something starts to misbehave. Now they say node may not be available. Okay, and things start to go a little bit bad. So let's see here if Camel get health. You can see now the health checks for the one will be down because the Kafka consumer is not ready. Kafka consumer is not ready. The producer, on the other hand, will start to spit out errors and things like that when it gets to it. Node not available. It will just go on. Yes, and we see Camel Kafka. You can see now here as well, we added that information as well. So as a convenience, you can see it's not ready, recovering. So Camel is attempting to recover that, you know, every time that thing will happen. You can see the last offset was 1480. So now we can, oh shit, need to start that again. So let me just say, stop the producer. It takes a little while because Camel is shutting down in a more graceful way, and this is not so easy to do when Kafka is involved. Yes, so this one will. You can see here it was just abruptly shut down. Now I say Docker compose up. Let's see if it can create that one again. I'm a bit very evil, right? So now things may start to come back again. I am actually not as sure. This is also it didn't go like that the last time I tried. Let's see what happens, because essentially now you have, they're starting to become up. The Kafka late is up 25 seconds. Yep. Then let's go here and say Camel get help. They are up and Kafka is, they're running. So they are waiting for data. So we can then, let me see, I actually have two Kafkas listed now, okay. I need to go into that Kafka help directory and say Camel run producer to kick off some message to it. And if you go here now, we start to receive the message again. Oh yeah, that was actually pretty stupid because I actually want to have a shell. So get Camel get one to producer, Camel get help there, and Kafka, right? Yeah. So we can see committed again. What did it go at? So we can see the committed offset is 14 and so on. So it was a bit of an experiment, right? To kill the Kafka broker and the producer and start them again, and the consumers were still running, right? And then they start to reconnect and pick up message and so on. So there are some opportunities to play and try out stuff. Now there's one thing I also wanted to show you is that what if you want one, you know, both consumers are receiving the same message. What if I just want to be exclusive consumers, so one will, so there's sort of like a highly available situation. And for that you need to have the same group ID. So group ID equals, so instead of have a random one, I choose, so let's say cheese. So if I run 1 and if I run 2, now they will connect to the Kafka broker and pick up those messages. But if I see Kafka, I have of course 2 instances running, but they are using the same group ID. So you can see here group ID equals cheese. Maybe we should actually show group ID by default, because then there's no confusion, right? So we can actually see there's only 1 instance that is receiving the message. This will be, happens to be the first one in the top window, right? The second one is just standing idle. And then, as you know, if you say committed, then of course only the top one will receive the message. Yeah, okay, the committed wasn't received in time. Let's see if we get it now. Yes, 1564. And we can also say camel stop my camel. So there's a command called camel command. There's many commands, but I want to say stop route, and I want to stop the route in the one. So basically what I'm gonna happen is that let's see if it actually worked. No, that's because sorry, there's a little issue here, so I need to use the pit number. I want to stop the route in the pit with that one. Now it's stopped. The second one will then start to pick up message. Yeah, you can see the bottom shell will is receiving message if I say Camel Kafka. So because I stopped the one, it's no longer listed here because Kafka is not active running and so on. So now this is the second one is receiving. And if I say start route again, I want to start the second one, then of Kafka starts again. And if I get Kafka, then I have 1 and 2 up there. But now it's 2 that receives the message. And if I say kill, let's be real process killing, so I'm killing the second one, 556532. So essentially number 2 is going to be killed, the bottom shell, and then the top shell should then start to pick up when the Kafka system detects that the consumer, client, whatever is gone. It may take a little while for Kafka to realize that, because we were evil bastard. We didn't stop it nicely, where we tell Kafka, I am stopping, please reassign my consumer to another instance and all that kind of things. It has to detect that there is the consumer is dead. There's some timeouts and many other things in play. While that happens, we could frankly just have a little bit of fun and say Camel Kafka and see something here. Let's see. Yeah, now it resumes the top one, right? You can see that. So that's kind of it for me. This is a one take. I don't want to retake it. I'm sorry for being a little long in the tooth, and maybe the shells are a little small fonts, but that's what you get from me today. But I still wanted to say that on this JBang stuff, it's really it's a great tool. It's something that we use a lot ourselves to be a lot more productive, maintaining, building Camel, and there's so many opportunities for you to quickly try out stuff. We're also working on promoting this some more, and also in combination with local toolings and UIs like Kyoto, Karen, and etc. And sort of like a better Camel K as well. They're currently working on some Kubernetes JBang commands, so you can run all this one and very nicely just say, okay, I want to actually run this in Kubernetes cluster, but more to be revealed after the summer break and when it lands into the upcoming Camel 4.8 release. But the Kafka thing is something that is you know, specific to the component where we can get that details. Oh yeah, QDev. There's also this one I didn't actually show you. So the web console dash console is available on 8080 QDev, and it sort of shows you all the developer controls. And sorry for the plain text, there is no fancy UI, but it dumps the information just for you to be able to read that one. You can kind of see the information in textual format as well. This is sort of like the similar information you see in the Camel JBang CLI. So this is also information. Okay, and what did it download? Blah blah. There's some information. Just go and look a little bit. And you can kind of see some of the information here as well, just clicking a bit here and there. Anyway, it kind of promotes, you can kind of see under the curtain a little bit what happens, but the develop console is it's HTML text-based, usually on 8080, but if you're 2 instance or 3 instance, then usually you need to have assign a port number per instance, right? So 80, 81, 82, and so on. That is of course all possible, but the JBang command, as you saw, are able to just say camel PS, and it's all the currently processing instance. There are 2 instances only on this machine here, but they don't necessarily have HTTP endpoints is not necessary. The JBang command can totally work with that, and I think you can also just say I want to stop everything, and then, you know, was it? I can't remember always what I do. So produce, I want to stop the producer, I want to stop one, then you can also stop things, you know, and be done with that. Anyway, give that JBang stuff give that a try. It's also something you can use with if you're using Spring Boot or Quarkus, so you are into that building things with those powerful runtimes and Java coding and all that kind of things, maybe Maven and Gradle and all that kind of thing. So if you still want to, you know, say Maven Spring Boot run or Quarkus dev and all that kind of thing, but the JBang command can also be available for these. So essentially you just need to add one dependency to Spring Boot or Quarkus. Then JBang can interact with these runtimes, and you can do similar stuff that I did here with just pure Camel main JBang, which is, you know, vanilla Camel, but you will get the same experience using Spring Boot or Quarkus as well. So that's also a good reason to try JBang and say, okay, we are in our company, we are, you know, Spring Boot company, so everything runs on Spring Boot. Okay, then give this tool a chance anyway. Okay, so no more talk for me. I don't think everybody watched this to the end, but if you did, then thank you, and enjoy Camel JBang, and give us your feedback. We are interested to hear from you, and have a good one.